Hello, Math Stars. We're continuing to our videos on decimals. I decided at the start of my last video for adding, I said I was going to cover adding and subtracting in one video, but I decided that I will split it up into 4 videos. One for adding, which we just did, one for subtracting, one for multiplying, and one for dividing. It'll keep the video shorter, and if you only have problems with one of those operations, you can rewatch just that one video. So today is going to be subtracting, and it's going to be page 29 in your book. But before we move on to page 29 in the book, I want to review the reference chart. I showed this reference chart in the start of the adding of decimals video, but since then I changed it and I kind of cleaned it up just a little bit, since I was going to post it in the description part of the video so you can print it or screenshot it. Okay, so we did review decimals for adding. You have to just line the decimals up. Again, this showed you how when they're not lined up properly, okay, the place values do not line up. We have to make the place values line up. So the same thing with subtraction. It's even more so important for subtraction when we have to borrow. So if we have 84 take away 16 and 47 hundredths, well, if you put 16 and 47 hundredths, let me zoom in just for this example here. If we have 84 take away 16 and 47 hundredths, but you line it up the wrong way, you're going to get the complete wrong answer. Okay, 84, we're saying the 4 is in the ones place, but we're lining it up with the hundreds place. Okay, so if you set your problem up this way, I can't even do it wrong. It's just wrong altogether. Okay, you have to line up your decimals. You have to line up your place value. Now, 84 doesn't have a decimal, but you've heard me repeat it several times, especially in that place value video. If you did not watch the place value video, I would stop and watch the place value video first. Whenever there's a whole number, there's always that assumption that a decimal is right at the end of that whole number. It's always there waiting. Okay, so when we line up our decimals, we line up our ones place with our ones place, which is the 4 and the 6, our tens place with our tens place. You add that decimal back in, but use placeholders. Okay, we have to use placeholders so when we borrow. So this has to show some borrowing. This becomes a 10 and then a 9 and then a 10. 10 take away 7 is 3. 9 take away 4 is 5. 3, we can't do 3 take away 6, so we have to borrow again. That becomes a 13. 13 take away 6 is 7. 7 take away 1 is 6. So that is our correct answer, but we needed to make sure we lined up our decimals and we use our 2 placeholders so that we could borrow. Okay, that is going to be our focus for this video, is subtracting. So let's look at page 29. Okay, and again, I'll zoom in just a little bit so we can see some of the problems clearly. All right, so we have 8 take away 2 and 9 tenths. Now, it looks like because 29, 2 and 9 tenths, it looks bigger. Okay, so it looks like it should be the number on top, but look at the place value. We have a decimal. These are ones, these are tenths. Although it looks like 29, it is not 29. So what you have to do is we lined up the whole numbers. They're all lined up for you in this one, which is good. But just remember that you have to add your decimal, bring your decimal down, and add your placeholder. In subtraction, it's especially important that you add your placeholder, especially if there's a blank spot, a blank place on the top number. You need that to be able to borrow. Cross off the 8, make it a 7, make this a 10. 10 take away 9 is 1. My decimal I already brought down. 7 take away 2 is 5. 5 and 1/10. So this is a cool crossword puzzle. So we have across and we have down. This is 1 across. So you go down to the puzzle and we find 1 across. Here is 1 and it's going across. So I put in my answer, 5 decimal point 1. And by the end, it should all match up. Okay, so now let's go to 3. I'm not going to complete all of this like the previous pages. I will do a couple sample problems, and then I'll show you the answer key. You can finish the page on your own and then check it in the video. Okay. 46 3/10 is lined up with 3 24 hundredths. Bring the decimal down. Use your placeholder. Okay. We have to borrow. 3 becomes a 2, becomes a 10. 10 take away 4 is 6. 2 take away 2 is 0. I already brought my decimal down. 6 take away 3 is 3, and I bring down my 4. 43 6/100. So we're going to go to 3 across. So you got to find our numbers here. And I see 3 across right here. And I'm going to put in 43 6/100. Okay, question 5. 5 8/10, 2 9/100. I'm sorry, 2 9/10. Borrow. Remember, we move, and I do talk about this briefly in the place value video as well. Our math system, we move in groups of 10. So although we're taking away what seems like a 1, it's one group of 10. So that 10 is floating around. I add that 10 to my next column. That's why this 8 becomes an 18. Although we took 1 away, you have to remember it's one group of 10. We add that group of 10 to the place value that needs it. So 18 take away 9 is 9. 4 take away 2 is 2. 2 9/10. And we're on 5 across. And I see it right there. 2 9/10. Okay, let's do another one. This time I'm going to just do the steps and I want you to narrate what I am doing. There's my answer. 33 632 thousandths. 33 632 thousandths. One thing I didn't do that I did say you should do in the top of all your pages, take that moment and just make your think track. Remind yourself the most important parts of a decimal. Here's the ones place. You can even go out this way. Hundredths, sorry, ones, tens, hundredths, thousandths. We have THS for tenths, HTHS for hundredths, and THS for thousandths. So use the initials, but also use what you know about our base 10 names. 1, 10, 100. If you wrote that at the top of every page that has to do with place value or decimals, you will memorize it in no time. Oh, and if you've watched the relating fractions to decimals, you would know that tenths can always also be represented with tenths, hundredths, thousandths. The more you practice all these little thoughts continuously, the more that they'll become burned into your brain. Okay, we're going to do one more problem and then I'll show you the answer key. Okay, so we can't subtract. We need, this is already lined up for you, which is great. Just bring your decimal straight down. Let's borrow. So 3, 12. Okay, even though it looks like we took 1 away, we took away one group of 10. So we're adding that group of 10 to the place value that needs it. So the 2 becomes a 10. 10 plus 2 is, I'm sorry, the 2 becomes a 12. 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 take away 8 is 4. 3 take away 2 is 1. 5 take away 1 is 4. 3 take away 2 is 1. We have 14 and 14 hundredths. So I'm going to look for 9 across. And 9 across is right down here. 14 and 14 hundredths. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. So if you have not done so, I would say finish the page. Make your think track up here. Finish your page. And I will show you the answer right now. You can pause the video or you can screenshot it. And that is subtracting fractions.